This is a story about return, about memory, and about an artist finding his voice through the voices of those before him. Israel Imoniavwodo does not just paint portraits, he opens doors into history, into self, into something deeper.
They actually use this as a symbol to themselves, letting the people know that this is a royal home, or this particular house you're seeing, you're actually linked to the palace.
The brush meets canvas, soft and slow, where past and present start to flow. In every stroke, the story lies of ancient wood and watching eyes. This is more than art. It is identity unfolding in color and line. In Benin's doors, Israel saw not just history, but home.
They contain histories of the Benin, event that happened long ago. The storyline is pictured on the door. And sometimes some may say, okay, I need my resemblance. For those who can carve resemblance, and they depict it there. Sometimes they may not get exactly the person, some can get exactly the person.
Each carving a mirror of selfhood, of how the past shapes who we are. To understand the doors, Israel had to walk where they once stood. His journey to Benin was not for spectacle. It was for stillness, for connection.
My name is Infi Festos Sagomero. I'm a grandchild to Ogeva Mokpai, the former Ewekago Sadoba of Benin. He used to be a chief, and he's the only child of his mother. He was the secretary then in the palace, so this door was done by him, and this is him being carved here, close to the Oba. They actually use this as a symbol to themselves, letting the people know that this is a royal home, or this particular house you're seeing, you're actually linked to the palace. Okay. My granddad had to do this for himself, because this is the only way he can actually send a message to us, because we were not there. So for him to do this, as we were born, he can actually explain that this is Oba Ozwola, because we never met him. And that's the reason when you get to other homes where you have these doors, you don't see this one, they do theirs, so they can actually interpret the things that we never saw them. The past governor Obaseki actually brought something, and I know they came here, they saw the door, and they actually liked it, and they asked just the way it is now, how many days it has spent, and which I told them. And for it now, you see, if we had not kept it well, you won't be seeing the door here. We've kept these doors for years, because we know that people who doesn't know about the door will come, and more to come.
This is not just a journey through space, but through time. A return, not to visit, but to listen.
Wow, this is interesting, getting to know all these stories and all these facts about the door. The door is not just a door, but also a storyteller, and it's telling past histories and sending from generation to generation.
Among the carvers, Israel found something familiar.
My name is Infi Festos Sagomero. I'm a sculptor. graduated from University of Benin 2004. So the craft, initially parents pass it to their children, but on your, if you have interest in it, you can learn. It normally takes between 3-4 years, and sometimes depends on your IQ, how fast in learning you are. Some persons can come and learn very fast, just like in school. Some are slow learners, that's how it is. So it normally takes a period of 4-5 years. And in this process, when you are done, before your freedom, you still serve your master. It may give you some certain quality of job you need to do before your freedom and so on. So when you are free, you are handed certificates and a tools. This was what I was given in 1996. In Benin, they call it agme. All the chisels are agme, they are all tools, but they more normally give you this. So this was what I was given then. So it's still with me. He went with me to university, he came back home. So I'll still be using it.
So what do you think is the primary purpose of the Benin door in their cultural and historical context?
Basically, it was for beautification, decoration. That's just the basic purpose. People have it. Whenever you go there, you see the beauty it has to the house. And most carvings on it, they contain history. Histories of the Benin, event that happened long ago. The storyline is pictured on the door. Sometimes some may say, okay, I need my resemblance. For those who can carve resemblance, they depict it there. Sometimes they may not get exactly the person, some can get exactly the person. Others want, they can tell the artist or the carver, okay, this is the story I want. We have different stories in Benin, like the story of Ise and Ozolwa and Umoria, where you see a tree, the Oba is on the tree, there's two men, one with the war sword, one with walk stick. It's a storyline in Benin, and it teaches moral lessons. There are others where you see a lady leaning down, serving kola nut. It's also an history in Benin. Sometimes it could just be the picture of a procession in the palace, like the Igwe festival. There's an aspect of the festival where they can also be depicted, the period where the Oba slaughtered the cow and so on. So these are different, it's to keep history. So when you see the door, someone asks you, what is this? You see a long story being told. So it's like keeping our history and also our culture.
So we can say the door are not just for beautifications, they are also storytellers.
Yes. A mix of recording
historical
events
in ancient Benin. Thank you. So it boils down to who typically commission these doors. Can it be commissioned by anybody or particular chiefs?
Anybody that can afford it.
So how were the stories carved on these doors selected? Or is it that who wants to carve it will tell the carver that I want this story, or it's left for the traditional carver to choose the story he wants to carve?
Sometimes there are two types of door carving. We have the tradition, we have the village scene. The tradition depicts, like the histories I told you, events around the palace. No, initially art was around the palace. It was controlled by the Oba. The Giz, like the Besama, who were the wood carvers, they were under the Obas. But later it went to the commoners. So the person could tell you, okay, I want, if you are 3 steps in the door, okay, I want village scene to be under. The village scene could be women cooking, pounding, or people coming from the farm, some in the farm, or somebody harvesting palm nuts, somebody in the inside the canoe, paddling canoe, hunting for fish.
So what's the traditional name of the Benin carvers?
Carvers, Igbesamas.
Igbesamas.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be calling them
Igbesamas.
Okay. What role did the traditional artisans, Igbesama, and guild play in the maintenance of the Benin cultural heritage?
As I said before, the school curriculum is no longer helping. There are so many adjustments that have been. Imagine history now is taught in primary school. So how can children in primary school retain long history? It was usually in secondary school. So it is dying. It's only when history is passed on, that is when these young ones or youth can take interest. Like the art and the woodcarving, I can tell you, when I entered in 1989 as a finisher, when I say finisher like this, what my colleague is doing, workshop is full with boys learning. But these days, we just met only 2 of us here, no young ones. Because people interests have died, and sometimes some beliefs, superstitious beliefs, have affected the art.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
You've learned a lot.
Their hands told stories. Their tools held rhythm. Here, memory is passed down not in books, but in wood. Every chip of the chisel is a whisper from those who came before, as believed by the carvers. These doors are not museum pieces. They live with the people. They protect. They witness. For Israel, they carried echoes not only of kings and rituals, but of daily life, of belonging, of form and function wrapped in meaning.
Returning to my studio, everything looked different. The doors followed me home.
Back in his studio, Israel did not just unpack sketches, he unpacked emotion. Brought back more than references, he brought back a deeper sense of self. A lineage discovered, a memory reimagined. Now, each canvas became a new kind of door, one only he could open.
Hi, my name is Infi Israel Imoniavwodo. I'm an artist, a painter based in Lagos, Nigeria. My work explores the archival civilization of the ancient Benin, the people, their art form, and their spirituality. My technique begins by gathering reference from my painting, knowing the best image that suits a certain painting, and I sketch first. After sketching, I sketch with pencils, and then I sketch with paint using the brush, and then I do a general wash on the canvas. I paint mostly with red color, so I do a red wash on the canvas, and then I paint primarily with acrylic. I try to make my painting as realistic as possible, and sometimes I try using monochrome. Sometimes I use monochrome. I sometimes paint the subject a certain color, paint the background a certain color. I use colors that complement each other to get the best results in my paintings. And sometimes I also use the silk prints to make images on my paintings also. So the reason why I use red in my paintings is because the Benin people are known for their red colors, the use of red colors. So I use mostly red in my paint.
He does not copy what he saw. He reinterprets. His brush answers the past with the voice of the present. Every line he draws is a path between generations. Every shadow, a tribute to what endures. In these paintings, Israel reshapes Benin identity, not as lost, but as living. Each work stands like a door itself, inviting, challenging, reminding.
The door tells the story of the Oba on the horse. During ceremonies, the Oba is always with two chiefs on both sides to show his mightiness. The Oba never walks alone. The interesting thing about this painting is the door. The story the door is telling. This is the story of Oba Ozalua and Ise. Ise is his warrior chief. So they had a disagreement and Ise wanted to kill the Oba. And the Oba immediately climbed a kola nut tree. So on the kola nut tree, Ise was telling the Oba to come down, let them wrestle. So at the point he was telling the Oba to come down, there was an old man passing. The old man was telling the Oba, okay, let them wrestle. The Oba came down, they were wrestling, and then the old man poured sand on Ise's back. Now, when they are both wrestling, when two men are wrestling, the one with sand on his back is assumed to have lost because his back has touched the floor. So he poured sand on Ise's back and proclaimed the Oba the winner of the battle. So this story particularly is interesting to me. It's a story of a man who wants to commit suicide. So he climbed a tree and wanted to hang himself or jump down. So while he was on the tree, he saw another man that didn't have food to eat. So the man was licking the leaf someone has eaten from. It's just like licking the plate someone just finished eating from. And he was doing that because he didn't have anything to eat. So the man on the tree was like, am I not better than this person that does not have anything to eat? Why should I kill myself? So these doors are not just for protective measures. They are storytellers, heritage keepers, reminding us of our rich cultural heritage and our identity.
These are not just portraits, they are declarations. A portrait not just of history, but of those who were allowed to become. To enter them is not to escape the present, but to meet it more fully through the lens of the past. For Israel, the journey continues beyond canvas, beyond exhibition walls. Some doors protect, some divide, but above all, they reveal. They reveal how identity, when remembered, becomes power. They guard the tales the wood once knew, of kings who ruled, of skies once blue. Their silence hums with sacred air, a legacy too deep to wear.